All right, in this lesson, I want to talk about guides. This is going to be probably the most important aspect of all kind of hair creation. And what guides are going back to this idea, these yellow lines, those are guides, okay? I want you to think about a guide as kind of telling the essence of kind of the directionality of the hair. And you can see that the brown hair, that's the xGen hair, is kind of being attracted, quote unquote, to the guides. Okay, so instead of putting in 100,000 individual hairs, maybe we're putting in 100 hairs, which might sound like a lot, but compared to 100,000, it's not that big a deal. And again, we want the essence or the flow of the hair. Now, again, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to groom hair. That could take several hours to actually even do all the guide work, but I'm just going to get you up and running so you can kind of see what it even looks like to groom or to create guides. So I'm going to start with the main hair. Now, one thing I should mention is that how I set this up was a collection of male and female. Now, normally you would have maybe just one character in the scene, and you could have a collection that would be the main hair, and then in the main hair you could have things like flyaway hairs, and you could have bangs, and you could have different descriptions within that collection. So again, for simplicity, I just made it, kind of these different parts, but I feel like I want you to realize that you could break it down in different ways. But again, let's just kind of go with what I have here. So I'm going to click on the main hair right here, and again, main hair, and up here again, I'm in the xGen. If I don't have that, I can go to generate, and then this is also the xGen drop down, but I'm going to go here, and with this selected, I'm going to click on this one here. This is going to be my add or move guides. I can see it also exists right here. Okay, if I click on that, now when I click and it creates a single hair, or a single guide, I should say. And I can come over here and I can scale this up. Okay, and now let's take a look at that. So if I click on this, it's going to update the xGen preview. And if I click on it, nothing happens. That's because it needs more than one guide. So if I click on another one, okay, I can see there, I might need to scale this up. Okay, now let me try this. So if I click on this and if I hit refresh, now I can start to see that it's giving me an idea of what's happening here. Okay, now I can see density. I can move this. I can make it more or less dense. Okay, and the other thing with the guides is I can hide the guide, or I can hide the hair, and now I just see the guides again. Now, what are these guides doing? Well, if I right click and go to guide control points, I can see that there's purple dots that I can actually move. And if I pull this over like that, and if I refresh, I can see how I controlled the hair to kind of flow that way. Again, how many guides or how many hairs are attracted to each guide is going to be determined what we set over here. And I'm not going to go through every single scenario here. I'm just kind of getting you the basics. Now I'm going to go ahead and clear that. You'll notice that I can't edit this one until I select this one. Also, these guides, if I look here, are going to be under here. You can see here's the guide 1, here's the second guide that I created, and you can see how it's starting to get organized. Now, if I put another guide in, I can click here, and you can see that it kind of averaged out between the two previous guides. Okay, and now I can keep going, but if I go far enough away, it might not understand what it should do. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of again scale it up, and now I could keep adding some guides, and you can start to see that it's starting to understand maybe what I want. Okay, and I could just keep going. Again, maybe I need to help it out, and maybe I'm going to go over here and click, and then I'm going to go like this. Whoa, scale that nice and big, and then the ones in between are going to be kind of understand, and I can kind of help it out. Now it's going to be easier for it to kind of average out. Okay, now again, this guy's got crazy hair going on, but I feel like just kind of getting the idea of even what guides are. Now, if I go up here, I can go to this icon here, Sculpt Guides. I can, so if I go to Sculpt Guides, now I have Sculpt Guides here, and if I double click, I'm going to have the tool settings. I'm just going to kind of dock the tool settings here. Okay, so here's tool settings, and maybe I bring my outliner and dock it up there. Now I can toggle between the outliner and the tool settings. And if I get Sculpt Guides, now I can hold down B as in brush, middle mouse drag, and now if I move this, you can see how it's going to be a little bit kind of nicer to kind of move that. It feels a little bit more intuitive. I'm not grabbing kind of point by point. So you'll also notice that the length of the guide doesn't change. Okay, what if I wanted kind of longer hair or to move it? I could uncheck lock length, and now I can kind of even pull this down like that, and you can kind of start to see I could really pull that down and kind of really work with that. Okay, now if I have a longer guide like what I'm showing here, again, this guy's hair, I don't know why I'd want it like that, but I feel like I'm just showing you how the guides work. You can see that it's kind of, I'm going to call that faceted. Okay, and if I go like this, it could kind of make the hair kind of faceted. Okay, you can see how it's kind of blocky like that. I'm going to go ahead and hide that. What I could do here is I could select this guide, and right here, the modifier CV is how smooth it's going to be. So if I go to 10, whoa, I'm going to go ahead and hide that. I need to select this. Okay, now if I right click, go to, actually if I do this, I need to hit rebuild down here, and now I can say I want it to be like 10, and now I can see how much smoother it is. And if I right click and go to control points, I can see that I have more points on here than I did before. And then I'm going to have smoother kind of transitions when I move this. You can see how kind of cleaner I can get that. Okay, but again, the more the more expensive, the more kind of complex it's going to be to kind of understand that. So if you had really curly hair, you may need to have guides with more CV points, but you can kind of start to see this potential here. And then again, if I come back to my outliner, I can see that here's all my guides, again, organized under male base hair. Okay, now I should point out these guides are because when we set it, I said, hey, I want to create guides when I set up my collections and my descriptions. But remember the beard? I said I want groomable splines. So on the beard, if I want to adjust that, I would go here and go to beard, and now I don't have the same kind of quote-unquote control that I had with the other ones. You can see that there's all these little guides that it gives us kind of in the beginning. Okay, so let's say if you were doing an animal that had fur all over it, it would be kind of crazy to kind of put, strand by strand or guide by guide. Instead, I'm just going to say I want it to be completely kind of furry coming out, but then I have grooming tools, okay, that I can kind of like groom this or add things to. Now, you can see that on the hair when I was adding those guides. If I go to main hair, I don't have grooming tools available because it's only for the groomable splines. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, Dave, I want to I want to be able to groom or change or cut or twist or add some noise to my hair here. Well, if you did that and you had these splines on the main hair, you wouldn't use the grooming. Instead, you would use something called the modifiers, and I'll get into that later, and then we can add modifiers similar to the grooming tools, but just they're going to be handled kind of in a different way. So again, I'm going to go ahead and hide this. We can start to see that we're, you know, again, starting to create some main hair. Now, behind the scenes, what's happening is I can see that in our xGen projects folder, under collection, male, okay, the main hair, there's some stuff it's starting to understand. So again, it's important that we have it set up properly before we even begin this process. Okay, so again, that is very, very brief intro to this idea of guides. But I feel like, again, I want to just kind of get you the nuts and bolts to get started. In the next lesson, I want to talk about masks.